As everybody say, you go down rabbit holes, and I went down one, and this group popped up, and I said, "Hey, I like this right here." So that's so I just found that by accident. So things like that happens when you find things like that. Just to update everybody, the WSN Radio Facebook page has been hacked and disappeared. And I didn't find that out till I got home yesterday from doing the election. And so I'm working on that right now. But I went to my other Facebook page, DJ Ron G. So we're broadcasting live on that, plus on Twitch. And what else are we on? We're on Twitch, that, YouTube. There's one more, and Instagram. Ooh, had to get that together. So, but you know what? They could do whatever they want to do. I'm not giving up. I'm still here. I'm still here. They want to take it away. Go ahead. But I got something for them. I got some more things up my sleeve. You could take it all you want, but we're still gonna be here for you. But election yesterday, I had my own precinct that I ran for 16 hours yesterday. So yeah, I'm a little tired this morning. Came in last night. My wife said, "What's wrong?" She said, "I'm tired." So I'm just tired. I'm just sick and tired of being sick. It was just one of those long, grueling days. If you never worked the election day, I would suggest bring you breakfast, lunch, and dinner all in one day. And I did. So I was all set up on that. But right now, we got my man, Mr. Joseph Lee with Impact Hour and Consulting Services. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ron. Good morning. Konnichiwa. Nobody got the gozaimasu to everybody out there. Here in Okinawa, it's a little chilly here, a little rainy, but rain brings beautiful things here in Japan, and all is well, man. All is well in terms of the peace of mind and things. And we got a lot to talk about, man. I first want to tell you, we're gonna begin how we probably going to end today, which is I want to thank you for getting out there and putting the focus on voting, because that is going to be how we are going to have to change the route that we're on right now. So
Yeah.
We only got about an hour, and I've been doing some research, and a lot of people, I don't know if I'm a therapist, right? But my undergrad is in political science. So I have a degree in political science, and then my master's is in counseling education, counseling psychology, which granted me my therapist license and my school counselor license. So we're gonna have a little conversation today about where we're headed, and why it's very important to understand what's going on. And also, we're already working on the solution right now. And then also, we need to do this in a healthy way. We need to do this in a very healthy way psychologically. We need to do this in a healthy way physically, and we need to think about our safety as well. So the physical piece is going to be our safety as well as our mental health. But I've been watching a lot of different news, researching a lot of different things, and it appears when I make this argument, I want people to call in, write in, tell me what they think. But MSNBC put out something very interesting. I thought about it, and I thought about my education experience and all that. And it seems like we are, and I'm going to use the exact words MSNBC, so it's not out of my mouth, but it seems like we're making a slow walk to an authoritarian style of government. That's what it looks like we're headed to right now. And before as I put that statement out there, that's what we're fighting against. So I'm not saying that is where we're headed, but I'm going to talk about how we can avoid that. So we have always had a few different models of democracy that have been running in this country. So I'm going to talk about a couple of them. One is the illusion of a pure democracy. And I think it's pretty obvious that we don't have a pure democracy, right? Where everybody's vote is just equal. And, once you mix capitalism in with that, you obviously know that money is going to have a huge deciding factor in shaping our government. Now, some would say money is too much of a deciding factor, in our governments. But, that's our form of government, right? And it makes a lot of sense to have some financial dollars and things we do, make some sense financially, motivated to a certain extent, or at least be conscious of it, right?
Yeah.
But then we have the concept of leadership, right? Democracy, authoritarian, whatever. There's definitely a difference in those two forms of government. If you think back, look at the bromances, so to speak, that Trump has had with authoritarian dictator leaders.
I don't remember.
Right?
Yeah.
And one of the key things about authoritarian governments is that authoritarian leaders follow a certain
shots were
playbook.
going past. That was kind of epic.
And now we're getting some interference right now.
Yeah, I'm messing with it right now. No.
Very mean. Okay.
All right.
Just keep on going. I'll get it out of there.
The snake guys, I think it is.
I want people to hear what I'm about to say, because I think that's possibly why you're getting this interference right now.
There we go. It should be gone.
Okay, so what an authoritarian leader does is he attacks all of the institutions that could attack him first.
Right.
So let's look at what Trump has attacked. One of the first things he attacked is the media. Right?
Yep.
And he has said things like what? Alternative facts. So when you have alternative facts and you have a source like Fox News, which is certainly not news, it's more Fox hype. They even said themselves they're not news, but some people are actually looking at them as a legitimate, news source, which I think has been pretty obvious that they're not a legitimate news source. They're a source of, propaganda, essentially. And if they don't say exactly what Trump says the way he wants them to say it, he smacks their hand, right? And everybody else is, what's the term? Fake news. Right? So I think, we can establish that he's attacking the media. The other institution that he has weakened is Congress. Look at it. All the Republicans are kind of, following his lead for the most part on everything that he says has become to the point where it's now an obstructionist form of government. If Trump says it, they're going to probably pretty much do it. Right? Holding on to the levers of power. In fact, in the Senate, we're going to go to the other side. Why did Santos stay around so long? Not because he wasn't a criminal and eventually ousted, but they kept him because they were holding on to what? Power.
Exactly.
Okay? Does that sound a little similar to authoritarian style government? Not legitimate power, just holding on to power. All right?
Right.
So now let's look at the office of the president. Obviously, there's running against a president saying that his plan is bad or, whatever. But let's look at the type of attacks that Trump does on Biden. He calls him incompetent. He calls him weak. He calls him all of these things, but he doesn't really go, and he talks about the border, right? That he's failing the country, the border. But what did Trump actually do to secure the border when he was president? He had 4 years, and we seem to be forgetting the line that he ran on, which was he was going to have the Mexican president build a wall from, I guess, California all the way to Florida, right? I mean, I guess that's what it was. That whole, southern border, he's going to build that wall so nobody could get across, even across Texas, across California. The wall was going up, and the president, the Mexican president, maybe not all the way to Florida, but I think you get my point.
Yeah.
It was supposed to cover all the areas, El Paso, San Diego, California, definitely California and Texas, were going to be a wall. Now, what did he accomplish? Not even close. Only 50 miles of wall was built. So what did that do for the confidence of the office of presidency? Of the president's, the office of president? It diminishes it. Look at the international standing that the office of the president has now since having Trump. Look at what just watch international news and see what they think about him as a president, and now how the president is making is looking with our previous president, giving compliments to Putin, Kim Jong-un, and now I think he has an extremist right-wing person he's meeting with at Mar-a-Lago here this next week. You have to look and see who that is. But he seems to be quite obviously embracing authoritarian role models and dictator role models. And we're acting like we don't understand what's going on. Some of us are acting like they don't understand what's going on. So let's continue to look at what else that Trump has helped to assault on this democracy. The election process. Do I even need to talk about how he assaulted the election process? He's still claiming that he won the election, or that the election was stolen from him with no facts. Still pushing that. People have his favorite network, or used to be favorite network. I think he now goes to Truth Media. I think is his media source, which is actually the opposite of Truth. Yeah, I think it's the alternative Truth channel,
Yeah.
right? That would be a more appropriate name, but hey, whatever he named it is his channel. But he's now taken our political process and infused, I think I'd say a significant amount of doubt into the election process. So what else we got? The judicial branch. Now, this one I want to focus on just a little bit, because something I heard about a couple weeks ago really kind of irritated me. He said that black voters. Now, I didn't. This is his words. You can look it up. Tell me if I'm wrong. But he said black voters can now identify with him more that he got a mugshot. Because black voters can identify with being unjustly incarcerated or attacked by the judicial system. Now, if you think about that on face value, it's insulting just by the fact that you assume most black folk have had experiences with the judicial system. Me personally, I've never been arrested, never gone to jail. So I don't know what, the hell he's talking about. Not all of us go to jail. And if you're saying I related to you more, no, you just look like what you are, a convict that got caught. But the other part that kind of bothers me about saying that is I don't know any black person or African-American person that has been facing 91 felonies and is still walking around free. You know what? I don't know. I'm remiss if I can think of any black person that has 2 felonies that they are indicted on and are still walking around free. You know what? I'll even narrow it down to 1. I don't know one black man, African-American man or woman that's facing not 1 felony and is walking around free. Usually, if you've been indicted on a felony, you're sitting in a jail cell somewhere.
Waiting, yep.
But this man has 91 felonies, and he thinks black folk can relate to him. I don't know what he's smoking. I don't know what he's thinking. I don't know what he's drinking, but it sounds like good old-fashioned entitlement to me. And if you bought that, I just want to give us black folk and I can speak to African-American folk. He ain't talking to us. He's trying to fool us. Now, you can be fooled if you want to, but ask around to see if you know anybody you know, and common sense should answer that has 91 felonies and ain't walking around free. And that was the quickest picture ever taken. And then he was out. I've never seen nobody get booked a picture and then out later on that afternoon and back home in Florida. So stop it. The judicial system, he's making to look like a joke. That's what he's doing. So how many institutions is that? Now, our latest institution that he's made a mockery of, you know I'm going to have to say it, is the Supreme Court.
Yep.
Made a mockery of the Supreme Court. Now, I know they want to get everybody lost into the weeds of what happened or how they had to decide that the states' rights were overreached and they can't have the states deciding what federal candidates can run. I know that's what they're going to try to say, but let's just think about this for a second. They never said that Donald Trump was not guilty of insurrection. Never said that. Because that's kind of the implicit argument that is why Colorado and Maine took him off the ballot. So now we're getting into a legal splitting of hairs. But let's just logically work this through the bigger question of, we have an insurrectionist that is now allowed to be on the ballot because of a technicality that the Supreme Court justices that are supposed to be at the highest levels of government have now allowed to be on the ballot. And it takes the rights of the states to decide if somebody is competent enough to run for the office of president. So if some people think, well, that's the Supreme Court, they that's how democracy works. Listen, don't let history fool you again. Remember history. Back in 1896, there was a case where the Supreme Court got it wrong before, and it took them 57 years to correct it. And if you know your legal history, you know what that case was. It was Plessy versus Ferguson. What was that case? Separate but equal. The United States Supreme Court decided that it was equal and fair for blacks to have one accommodation and whites to have another accommodation. And what that instituted was Jim Crow laws. Now, I think now as we look back in history, we could see that that was one of the most disgusting and mistakenly put precedents that the United States government made, the Supreme Court made, until this decision. That had reverberations throughout the world. One of the favorite other countries that followed suit in Plessy versus Ferguson was South Africa. That's why we had apartheid. They believed in segregation, separate but equal. We perpetuated other mess from Plessy versus Ferguson. Redlining. See, so there are ramifications when you have corruption at the highest level. So now it took 57 years from Plessy versus Ferguson in 1896 for Brown versus Board of Education to correct that. Well, to begin the process of correcting that. And look what it took to integrate the schools. And let's just say we're still dealing with some problems because of how the integration happened and the legacy and the stain of a completely ignorant and counterproductive decision from this highest court of Plessy versus Ferguson. So now we have this case. A known insurrectionist, somebody who is embracing authoritarian governments, dictators, being allowed to be deciding on that legitimizes dictators and authoritarian type folk for us to choose from. Good job, Supreme Court. You've now gone down in history as being as ignorant as you were in 1896. Hopefully it won't take 57 years to correct this disaster. Plus, all the way to now, to still deal with the toxicity and the cancers that have come from that decision.
Yeah.
And your grandkids will have to bear the shame that you were not wise enough to make the right decision. But so be it. That's what we're dealing with. That's where we are. Now, what's the solution? A blue wave. A blue wave is the solution. First, being educated with a clear mind and seeing exactly where we're at and what's going on. That's the first step. Not being delusional. So hopefully, we've laid this out. There's a strong sense of delusional thought processes and people not willing to do the right thing because they're trying to pass the buck onto other levels or levers of government to make the decision. And I guess they're trying to push it to the vote to ultimately decide the fate of not just Trump, because Trump is just a figurehead of a larger problem. The soul of democracy at home and abroad is on the ballot. At least the ideal of a democracy, of a fair and equitable society. Now, there are some folks that would argue, as Alex de Tocqueville would argue, that we're too free. And we're so free that we have to put these authoritarian type of folks in office to kind of right the ship. But be careful. Because throughout history, if you want to look at the Bible, when populist type authoritarian figures come along, you never get what you think you're going to get.
Yeah.
Read about Saul. That happened. Read about Saul. What happened when the people voted for somebody like Saul and got Saul as a leader? What kind of society was that? God let Saul become king, right? And then what happened to the people? Read it. I'm not going to it. Get into your Bible. Get into a Bible and figure it out, right? That's the problem. People aren't reading. I think in the Middle East, I forget the dictator's name, but it was the one that Saddam Hussein had to take out of power. Those people pushed for this leader, and I forgot it. I have to do my research and pull his name up. I'll try to do that before the end of the show.
It wasn't Gaddafi, was it?
I don't think it was Gaddafi. I think it was, I would remember. Hey, you know what? No, I don't think it was Gaddafi. I could be wrong. I'll have to pull the name up, but it was the one that Saddam Hussein took out of power.
Oh, okay.
But listen to this now, and guess who helped Saddam Hussein to take this guy out of power? We helped to fund Saddam Hussein. Anyway, so that's a whole other sidebar. That's American policy coming back to bite us. But the people instituted this leader, and I have to get his name, and he became one of the most ruthless, most ruthless dictator that country had ever seen. And he micromanaged every aspect of their life and was completely devastating on women's rights. And some of his teachings are still around now, even though Saddam Hussein took over his form of government. But all this talk about, the women and their hijabs and all that, that came from his form of government, where they have to wear the hijabs and women's rights were relegated to just being wives and all that type of, that came under his reign. But that's who the people asked for. And they got what they asked for. A strong leader, but it didn't go the way they expected. Because once you put a leader in like that, the only thing he's concerned about is power. All the other stuff goes out the window of making America great. What does great look like to him?
Well, we know.
Does it look like? Say again.
We know what he means by make America great again.
Well, I don't even think we really know what great really means. I think we have an idea, instinct, but I don't even think that instinct is as far as he's willing to go. And some of the folks that are rallying for him, it's kind of funny to me that they don't see what he's already willing to do to his own people. The Proud Boys, what's going on with them? Aren't they most of them in jail now?
Yep. The leader and the rest, they're in jail.
What about his attorneys? You know what's going on with Cohen, you know what's going on with Giuliani. I mean, how many people want to keep falling on the sword and giving them? He doesn't care about y'all. He cares about what he cares about, Donald Trump and Donald Trump's power. And whatever demented view of what America is to him, but America, as far as I knew, was supposed to be moving towards a more equitable democracy. And I think that's what he doesn't want. So the solution, don't want to be just about grim and doom and all that, because at the end of the day, we still have the ability to do what? Vote. And what you are doing and ensuring, being a voting official is so important. And we got to get everybody to get out and make sure that whatever Trump's demented vision for America is, never comes to fruition. And we truly do what he said he was going to do. And that's drain the swamp of the MAGA folk. They all have to go. Ted Cruz, Marjorie Greene, all of them, they have to go. Whatever they're thinking, yes, we got issues with the wall and the issues with the border down there, but it's not going to be solved by foolishness that they're talking about. And they don't really care about solving it, because if you think about it, I think Biden put a package together to have, like $6 billion or something like that to go down there to help. And I don't know, I'm not a mathematician, but I think 6-point-something billion is better than zero.
And it was what they wanted in that package. They got exactly what they wanted, and Congress refused to vote on it.
So again, Congress has been weakened to an obstructionist form of government, and then they try to blame it on Biden. Are we going to fall for the okie doke? I hope not when it comes to ballot box day. The way to clear this up is to make sure we send a clear message to Washington that it's over. America had its temper tantrum. They had their January 6th. They were heard, confused, misled, but they were heard. Whatever they're trying to say, that they don't like the status quo. I don't think anybody likes the status quo. But if authoritarian rule under Donald Trump is the answer, it can't be the right answer. It can't be the right answer. But we're going to see if we stand up. I think the women are going to stand up.
Yes.
I think they know what's on the table. I think the minorities, the black and brown folk that have common sense, I think they're going to stand up. I think the conservatives like Michael Steele, I'm sorry, I got to compose myself a little bit, but Michael Steele that went off talking about he'd been a Republican since 1976. And he drew a line in the sand and said, I'm ready to fight now. You know, I don't know what Michael Steele, please don't go to the picnic. That's all I'm gonna say, man. Don't go I'm sorry. That's a little inside joke. But don't, you know, fight, but make sure you fighting in the city. Don't go out to the country, brother, because, you know, it's a different beast that woke up. Well, not woke up. Has become more prevalent.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't just took the sheets off now, and they right out there for you. You know, to see. So you know, you know, but and they're strategic, right? Because they know he's a vote, right?
Right.
But he's not a vote because I think some of the conservatives, not the ultra-right, not the MAGA folks, there's about maybe 30-40% of the Republicans that are never Trumpers, you know, so they're sick of them. You got your Cheney's, you know, Dick Cheney's daughter, but I forget what's her name.
Liz
Cheney. You got them that are completely opposed because they see the cancer that the MAGA population has become on democracy, and they're trying to go all in. So I'm hoping that you got those conservatives, you got the independents, you've got the more conservative left, and you got the complete left. That, you know, I think that's a good pool of people. That if we could put a good campaign together, starting now, to educate them on the facts of what we're looking at, I think we could have a blue wave. And that blue wave, I think, will wash out a lot of the foolishness. But here's the thing. We still are going to have to deal with a Supreme Court that has been compromised. Period. We're still going to have to deal with all these federal judges that have an interesting new alternative set of laws that they're going to try to enforce. And you got to understand something. When I was in government and reading when I was going to school for government, I read this book called Montesquieu, Spirit of the Laws. Now, it's not an easy read, but I'm going to just give you kind of the synopsis of Montesquieu and Spirit of the Laws. Is that the laws are supposed to be written in such a way to create hedges, and you're supposed to have freedom within those hedges. But the hedges are guided by what? The government. And the government is led by who? The people. So whoever is guiding those hedges, if we're going to the extreme right, what's going to happen to those freedoms in the middle? They're going to get real narrow. And if there's nobody to control the hedges, we may find ourselves outside of democracy completely and into a dictatorship. Because it's a very short trip from a authoritarian style of government to a dictatorship. Especially if you're able to suspend the Constitution at any point.
Yes.
So the hope is that some people are just scared enough to get out and vote. And to send a message that, you know what, we need to make some changes, but this ain't it. This ain't it. We've made mistakes before. The Supreme Court has got it wrong before, so I'm not surprised that they got it wrong this time. Because the majority of the court is conservative, and the conservative party has been hijacked, for the most part, by the orange-haired wonder, as you using your words. But that's it. But there is hope. There is hope in the election. There is hope that people will wake up and address what's going on. And then also, we can't worry about those things that are beyond our control anyway.
Right.
You know, God is in control of this whole situation, and maybe, I hope it's not true, but you know, if the people keep asking for Saul, maybe they're gonna get him. So God will show you one way or another. Sometimes God lets you learn some rough lessons. I thought January 6th was enough. I thought, you know, there have been some things and some ways that we should have learned some lessons. I thought COVID was a good lesson, with the president talking about shooting people with bleach and all that. You know, I thought we've had some pretty clear watershed moments.
We did. You think that would be enough? You think that would?
Hey, Ron, listen. What do we say on the show? Your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear a word you're saying. Mm-hmm. So he's still the number one. He's the nominee going to be for the Republican Party.
Right.
So, you know, you can, and I had to remind somebody that, you know, thought, well, nobody really knew how crazy he was. You weren't paying attention. You don't remember the birther mess with Obama before he even ran for office?
Right.
Nobody remembers that. But, you know, because and I get it, there's been so much foolishness from then to now, you can kind of forget some of the stuff. But I just challenge people to go all the way back to the beginning of the political aspirations. You go back to that dinner at what was it, the dinner where you joke about the president and all
the roast.
That. And what was that? Yeah, the roast.
The roast.
It's not called the roast. It's called.
I know
a certain dinner that.
I know you're talking about it, and he was embarrassed and he didn't like it.
You look at his face when the camera panned over there, and if that's not hate, I don't know what hate is. He turned as red as my jersey, as my sweater right now. He turned, and that's when he decided he was going to do something happen. And I will say, hey, when you're motivated in this country, you can accomplish some great things, you know. But you can also accomplish some horrible things too, especially if there's other people frustrated and looking for an easy answer for their frustration. And he knows it. He knows what he's doing because he says it. He said, I'm going to be your redemption. What is he talking about? Do y'all see it? Do you get it? I don't know. I see it. So all I can tell you is we need to show up and show out at that ballot box. We need to show up and show out in that ballot box. It needs to be a complete landslide victory early on. They need to be able to call it early. Because I don't trust the Electoral College. I don't know. I don't completely understand it. I'm an educated man, political science, but I do not understand that Electoral College. Because you can win the popular vote and still lose the election. That's a scary thing.
Isn't it? That's just that. I don't know what to say about that one right there because there's been a lot of that going on.
So we got to show up and show out. And the fact that, the Supreme Court and other levers of justice seem to be interestingly slow at best to possibly compromise seems to be a concern. And now, your Facebook page has been, hacked. That's okay because this is being recorded, right?
Yeah.
All right. Let it get out there.
Yeah, it's going to get out there.
So let's see, how much time we got? About
20 minutes.
about 20 minutes. So let's talk about some mental health, right? One of the things as a therapist, I have to listen to problems and issues all day. Then, we talk about, we have to prepare for this show. And, I watch a lot of different news. I read a lot of different news. And I think a lot of people got to get back to that. I always read the news as well as watching it. I don't just watch anything. And I dang sure I'm not going to be watching social media for my news, right?
Yes.
But at the same time, I also have a healthy diet for my news. I pretty much just look at the tickers of like what actually happened, and it zeroes out the commentary a lot of times. Now, I have listened to some of the spin and some of the legal scholars, to talk about what's going on, and I think we're on par with our thoughts. And I have to admit, I was shocked, like many others, that the Supreme Court went this route, but I was not surprised. I was shocked, but I was not surprised. Let me tell you why I'm not surprised. Because we still have controls, and we have gotten it wrong before. And I think of this older lady when I was in financial services, in Florida, and 9/11 was going on. And that old lady was so calm, and she was out in the woods, and I was like, man, she's got to be scared. And she was so calm, and went and got some tea out the back and said, baby, when they say baby, they've been through something before. They know how to go through something. They say baby to you. Baby, this too shall pass. And when she said that, I was like, wow, she had been through the Depression, and she had been through segregation, and she had been through all this other stuff. So what I would tell everybody today, in advance, from the wisdom of that old lady, rest in peace, I'm sure she's in heaven watching down, probably smiling, that I remember what she said. This too shall pass. It's going to pass. And when it passes, I hope we're on the right side of justice. I hope that we are on the right side of democracy. And I hope that we, have something vaguely familiar to what I raised my right hand to serve. But all I can do is hope.
Yeah.
And pray. And do what we can on this show. What you're doing is voting. The rest is up to the American people that are listening, the folks in other countries that can write in or talk to their folks, to talk to our folks. But hey, that's what we can do. But again, God is in control, and it will pass one way or another.
Yeah.
So no sense of stressing about it. And no sense of stressing about it. It's some folks that got some work to do. I hope they keep Fannie on the job. I know she made some poor choices, but let's keep in perspective. She didn't make a bad choice as president. The President Trump did.
Yeah.
She didn't try to throw an election. Now, she might have had some ethical issues, but man, you talk about the pot calling the kettle black. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What are we talking about here? And I really don't know what it has to do with the bearing of the case either way. So what? You mean to tell me every, let me say this without laughing, probably gonna have some lawyers. I hope my attorneys don't take this the wrong way. But if you are going to throw out every prosecutor that's unethical, we wouldn't have a legal system. Sorry to say it. Do you really know what the legal process? And now there are I'm sure, some very stand-up lawyers. But I'm also sure there's a lot of them that are not. I mean, isn't that the running joke? I mean, how many lawyer jokes are there out there? I don't want to beat up the law profession too bad, because I don't want to get sued. I don't want to get you sued either. But the reality is, a lot of lawyers do what they got to do to win the case. In fact, I think that's what they teach you.
Exactly.
Yes, you're supposed to have some ethics. Yes, you're supposed to do it the right way. But I don't think those high-paid attorneys get paid all that money for being the most ethical attorneys. I think they get paid the high amount of money for being successful. So anyway, just the facts. Stick with that.
Dragnet.
And decide on the facts. If the man broke the law, present the facts, let the judge decide, and then move on from there. Other than that is the world of alternative facts, and I think we've had quite enough
alternative facts. Way too many.
And distractions. So, I don't know, Ron. I think I got done off my soapbox. I think I worked some mental health in there. Are there any questions or anything, as I wear my Kappa Alpha Psi? And this is my opinion. This is not reflective of my fraternity. Everybody has their views, so I don't want to be speaking for my fraternity. I am a proud member, and we are about achievement. So in every field of human endeavor, this just too happens to be mine. So, I can speak on politics because I'm educated on it, and I'm willing to back up everything I say. So if you want to debate it, come on. Let's talk about it. I'll put my library and my knowledge up against yours, and let's see what we come up with. But that's what this is supposed to be about. But ain't nobody calling in, Ron. I don't know, man. We got, what's the numbers, man? What was the numbers at last time? It was about 30,000 people listening?
Yeah, something like that.
You mean to tell me 30,000 people listen, they all agree with me? Maybe I need to run for office. I'm not.
Now, I'm going to go back about voting. I have been preaching it. Right now in Bexar County, go to bearcounty.gov. If you want to be a clerk or election judge, there's plenty of openings in there because we need the help. We need the help, and I'm telling you, we got to get this together. What I was preaching to everybody, do not be intimidated by somebody coming there and looking at you. You look at them right back and just, hey, what's up? Have a good day. And the closer it gets to November 5th, the closer the knucklehead's going to come out. I just pray you don't try nothing stupid. But do not be intimidated not to vote. Don't nobody call you and tell you don't do this. Don't listen to the lies. The election is November 5th. Don't have nobody tell you, oh, no, it changed to November 7th. Because they do things like that just to throw you off your game. You got to make sure you get out there and vote.
Look, the rule book has not changed, man. There were some deceptive things that happened during the last election. There was some foolishness that went on. People weren't allowed to bring people water, all that. Look, we're going to have to be just as resilient and just as intelligent about getting this thing done, if not more so. And I'm not about violence, but I am about self-preservation. So I don't know what can be done, but maybe we need to start having those conversations on how we can protect those voters.
Yeah.
I know that, you can't carry a firearm into the voting area, but maybe we need to have some security, some armed security out there, protecting the line of voters while they're there. Some police out there, I don't know. They got to do something, because this election, and then also remember you can vote by home ballot too.
Right.
So let's get that together.
Which everybody got to realize, if you are a certain age, if you disabled, stuff like that, you get a mail-in ballot.
We need to start pushing that stuff now.
Yeah.
Look, because I got I'm about to go show you something right now. Hold on a second. Let me show you.
All right.
I'm over here in Japan. So look, if you're overseas, You can get your information right now. I can't see. It ain't showing the paper. This is a ballot. It ain't showing up, right?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me see.
There,
This is how you get your vote. Oh,
there you go.
There you go. You can get your official absentee ballot. And you can send that bad boy on in. All right. So I got one for my wife and me.
A matter of fact,
will be voting.
Yeah, a matter of fact, yesterday this one guy came in and voted, and I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "I have never voted in person before. I just got out the military, and this is my first time voting in person."
Mm-hmm.
And he felt honored to come in there to vote in person.
Let me tell you something. Some of my fondest memories was in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and going to vote with my grandfather and my grandmother. And then my grandmother passed, it was my grandfather. And we used to go to this building that my grandfather, when he was on one of the boards for building, homes for seniors, his name was on that building. So every time I come to Grand Rapids, I used to go by and we vote. I rub the name hand across his name, you know what I'm saying? And go in there and we would vote. And I wish I could do that. So I think when I go back to Grand Rapids, I think I'm gonna, take a little piece of paper and do that and keep that here so I can rub my hand across his name. And for this next election, we're gonna need all the prayers and anointing we can get. So when I'm not telling people, I never tell people when I'm gonna be anywhere other than my closest folks, because we live in interesting times. But I will be in Grand Rapids at some point here within the next few months, and I will be stopping by there to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that's still a polling area. That's still where you go to vote. And if I was in Grand Rapids, if I was living in Grand Rapids, I'd still be voting right at that spot. So, but I'm not. But the tradition is there, and it's just instilled in me. When you see that, and then there was a place where you'll see everybody out in the community. They'd be coming out to vote, and they'd be in that line, and you'd be catching up with neighbors and friends and all that. So it's you really feel you're a part of something when you're doing that. And I have some great mentors and community people that I saw and I looked up to, and they instilled that in me. So we're gonna get this vote out. Even 9,000 miles away, I'm still voting. So if I can vote 9,000 miles away, there's no excuse for anybody else.
Yeah, because right now is the time for, all right, everything's over the primary in most states. They still got a few states to do it in. You need to make sure you are registered to vote. I talked to several people here in Bexar County who could sign up people to vote. They're going to get things going at all these venues that's going on. They setting up as a vendor. And so you could go vote. Sign up to vote. A lot of people, how do I sign up to vote? They still don't. But they're getting the word out, and I'm helping them get the word out. Whoever it is can sign up.
Outstanding.
Right now, you need to see if you register in Bexar County. If you want to find out if you register to vote, go to BexarCounty.org and you click on registration. You could type your address, your name in. I forget what it is. You type in, it comes back and tell you if you're eligible to vote in the November 5th election. If not, you need to fill out a voter registration form. But get this. If you have not registered, we still can't turn you away from voting, because there's another ballot you can use to vote on, put your information in there, and those are the last ballots counted. So they want to verify it's provisional ballots. They want to verify it's you. And once it's you, your ballot is counted. So we don't turn away nobody. Anybody could vote. And this is the funny part of it. This question came up. So once somebody calls a ruckus inside, then they call the police. He could vote first before he's arrested. That's what they say.
Wow,
anybody could vote. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts saying, well, I don't know. You get your butt in line and go vote.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna tell you something, man. It's important. In any election that we've had, in our lifetime is important, man. This is it.
Yeah, it
This
is.
this is it, because this is gonna be one of them questions. Where were you at, and what were you doing when this election happened? You know, and it's gonna be this is gonna be the one. And look, it ain't just us. The world is watching. Just like they were watching when Plessy versus Ferguson was decided. And we are that beacon on the hill. All democracies watch us.
Yep.
So we don't want to, you don't want to think about the ramifications of the world leader in democracy turning into an authoritarian style government. There's a lot of things out there in the news you could look at to see what type of risk that could put a lot of things in. But I will tell you, it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
At all. But again, we'll see how things go. And the other thing too, you got to notice about that Supreme Court decision is they did not say anything about he wasn't insurrectionist. Not one justice said anything about that. And because that's not really their role either, is to get into, the criminal aspect. They had a legal question to ask, and I think they fell on the wrong side of it. Some people are thinking that, they kind of twisted the 15th Amendment, I think it was, to kind of justify their decision, but I'm not going to get into it. I just think from a commonsensical standpoint, they had enough grounds to let the states decide in this case.
Right.
But again, I'm not a judge. I'm not an attorney. I'm a different type of counselor. I'm a mental health counselor. I think a lot of them are going to need, so I think they're going to need some mental health counseling, after that decision, because I think a few of them, they're going to be looking over their shoulder because, I don't think the Supreme Court gets Secret Service.
I don't know. Hey, while we're at it, we on the platforms. Give a shout out to Diggs, also to Dromance, Ray's Printing, for Cheryl. I'm going through all these right here. Martha, Veronica, David.
Oh, Martha's on there?
Yeah.
Hey.
Yes, I'm going.
Shout out to the people, man.
Yes,
how you doing, Martha?
These are all 4 platforms. People are on, watching and listening, and plus our app. Let everybody know that a couple weeks ago, I don't know what happened. The website went down for a little bit. Then my app disappeared, and I'm saying, what is going on? But I got everything working, and now WSN Radio Facebook page is down, but I'm not stopping. I switched everything over to my DJ Ron G Facebook page. So, ain't no stopping me. I'm sorry. Y'all can put them blocks up there, but I'm still coming through.
That's right. Hey, listen, man, I'm so proud of Martha. I'm trying. I can't see too many of her shows. I'm already doing stuff and out and about and all that, but I'm telling you, or half asleep. I forget what time it is. One or the other. I'm always trying to catch it, and I either fall asleep or I'm busy. But because it's 15-hour difference. But I see the things she's doing. I love the work she's doing. I love what we're going to be able to do. Probably pushing it back to the spring. We'll be calling her soon. So we got some other stuff to work with on the team. But shout out to the Impact team, everybody. We got some other people coming on, and we're already, kind of talking about doing some things and getting on the show. So I was glad to see Martha jump the gun and get on the show. I'm gonna bomb her show one day too, once I can get some time. I can't wait to jump on her show and harass her.
But normally what I do on Tuesdays, I we do a phone interview with a recap what she did on their Monday show. What is it? Coach Rice. And
Coach Rice.
We talk about that and stuff. So we do a recap on that, and that's something that people like. Cause seem like on Tuesdays it's my days I make phone calls there. I just pick up the phone and call anybody. But I know better. Man. I know better to call you because you be counting sheep, sleep.
Yeah, I'm a cuss, and I will cuss you out, Ron. What you want now? But Ron is one of the few people that can call me and I'm gonna answer. I will pick up.
Yeah.
But I might be half asleep and not knowing what we're talking about, but I will
But
I will pick it up.
but he will tell you he'll do me the same way. He'll call me or text me.
Yeah, I will.
So, but that's what it's all
Yeah,
about.
well, that's how you do your family, man.
Yeah.
That's okay. Look, don't try that. Don't try that unless you're in that circle, because
Yeah.
you will go to voicemail unless it's an emergency for somebody. But and I think on my message it tells you if it's an emergency, call 911.
911. Yeah, it does. It does.
I think that's my message on there. I haven't heard it in a while, but shout out. I think Craig, too, might be doing this church hurt next week. I think we were talking about that. Next week I will not be on. I've got a little procedure I've got to do medically. I'm fine. No, I'm going to be okay. But may have to have Craig step in and do the show if he can do that. If not, we'll see how we work it out.
Oh, well, I already got a backup for a backup just in case. So I got you covered, brother.
Awesome. All right, hey, I know you do. That's how it works. You know what I'm saying? So, but then again, hey, I might just show up on the show with Craig or whatever. Either way, you know what I'm saying? Let him talk about that church hurt. I got a couple points, some things that we're going to talk about with it. A lot of positive responses and people trying to get some healing on dealing with church hurt. I mean, I was even surprised how pervasive that church hurt situation goes, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of people that have been affected, and then, he had, what's that, Oral Roberts? What was that? Not Oral Roberts. Who was that in Houston, whose church had that shooting in there?
Joe Osteen.
Osteen. Yeah. So, I mean, nobody's church is safe, and people got issues with people in the church, people, so you got to take a look at this, man. And, all these churches need to have some conversations about how they're affecting other people, because mental illness is at an all-time high.
Ooh.
So, you got to make sure that you are, if you're in ministry, you better know some signs and talk to some people, know if what you're dealing with is mental illness or whatever. I know a lot of the churches I go to, and a church I go to in San Antonio actually has the police there in the church. And there's a reason for it. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason for it. There's some mentally ill people that are going around, and some of them they go to church too.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I think that's my time. It is now 11:33, and hey, your action speaks so loudly, I can't hear a word you're saying. So that's what we're gonna do. Everybody keep talking, communicating. Hopefully we've have some thought-provoking things going on here that will make people think about what's going on and where we're headed, but also know that we still have a option to change the course. And I think we need to end it just how we began it, with that ballot box, and make sure that we got the right person coming into office. And hey, I'm even starting to see Camilla showing up and showing out a little more now.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was over there trying to deal with a mess over there in Gaza, but at least she's out there doing something.
Yeah. So
there it is.
Keep on doing what we're doing.
All right,
my brother. You take care, and
all right,
we'll catch you down the line.
See you down the line.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Sign out.
All right, bye. All right, everybody. That was Joseph Lee with Impact Counseling and Consulting Services doing this thing this morning. We sure did enjoy it, and I enjoyed the listeners that jumped